All right, welcome. We are ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We are back with the great RJ Ronquillo.
Thank you for having me.
More Hendrix.
Yes.
One of my favorite Hendrix tracks ever. And it was off of Rainbow Bridge, and I was like, what song is that?
Did I ever tell you the first time I heard this song, Hey
No.
Baby?
What was the...
It was a cover
Okay.
from the...
is it the one where he's got like the purple outline of his face? Like
It
Steve
was
Vai and everybody does covers?
the guys from Pearl Jam did it.
What?
What was that band? Pearl Jam and Chris Cornell.
Oh, Temple of the Dog.
Temple of the Dog did a cover of it.
No
That was
way.
the first time I remember. I'm sure I heard the original Hendrix version first, but that was the first time I heard Temple of the Dog's version. I'm like, oh, I like this song.
Huh.
Let me listen to the Hendrix
How did they
version.
do? Chris Cornell singing Hendrix. How was that?
Man, it's, well,
I
the
mean-
greatest voice in rock and roll.
So good. All right, so we are going to go over the whole idea. This comes from RJ's new Hendrix course. Link down below, 50% off for the opening week. Awesome freaking course. But what we're trying to impart here in this lesson is how you could take a Hendrix classic, make it your own, but also like the nuances behind the rhythm aspects of this particular song, because he really gets a cool vibe with his right hand, or whatever your picking hand is, and really locks in like a cool groove and adds all sorts of, it's a very similar progression to like Watchtower and all those other songs, right?
It's groovy.
But he really takes it in other directions too. And the thing I like about it most is that kind of B section where he just goes from minor to major and like octaves and all sorts of different stuff happening. So let's break down the riffs, how he changes keys like that, how you can get the octave thing going on all through your lens of Hendrix.
So the original Hey Baby chord progression in the verses, obviously there's this long intro that we won't cover, but the four chords in the verses are A minor, G, F to D major. That's the original. So right? For our course version, I kind of changed it a little bit, and I actually flipped the last two chords. So I'm doing A minor, G, D minor to F.
Okay.
So same vibe, same kind of style,
Intended.
but just changing those two chords kind of makes it my own thing.
Same vibe with a different sound too.
Oh yeah, so for some reason I always, we all love the sound of the Hendrix Univibe, and if you didn't know, there's two settings on a Univibe. There's a chorus side and there's a vibrato side, and to get the typical Hendrixy Univibe sound, it's the chorus switch.
Sure.
But for this song, the original, I just didn't realize this until recently. It's actually the vibrato side because it kind of has a little detune.
Oh, it's so good, dude.
It's very seasick feeling.
Totally,
right?
it's so good.
So if you really want to cop that, studio version of Hey Baby, I think that's the setting you need.
One of the things I think you do really, really well is cop the right hand feel of the Hendrix stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, play that progression a couple times through, and I'm going to zone in on your picking hand so people can see kind of how you do it, but also how to get that vibe, because that's a huge part of the sound. It's not just knowing the chords and the embellishment side of it. It's where he accents stuff with the right hand that makes a huge difference. So just run through that a couple of times.
Yeah. Let's
Do that last, God, I don't even know how to describe it. Yes. It's super cool. So,
These are all like stock, like what I've digested as my stock Hendrix rhythm parts.
they are, but the timing and the way you hit it is so important to nailing it. And how he can throw it, because a lot of times the feel is, and John Mayer does this really good in his, his Bold as Love version. But those, I don't even know how to describe them. Like, how would you describe the rhythm of that lick?
So when I'm thinking about it, and we've talked about this in like the previous course, I'm thinking like a drummer.
Okay.
At its core.
Okay.
And all the embellishments come after, but like at its base level, you know, always underneath what I'm doing is the thought that I'm playing a drum pattern.
Okay.
On the guitar. So I've got like kick, snare, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and the scratches are
and the
almost
scratch is like
the
a hi-hat or
yeah.
ride or whatever. So if you think like boom, toom, gats, that boom, boom, gats. So I'm always having that, you know, heartbeat underneath the rhythm pattern.
Okay.
And if you have that, just make it simple. So I'm almost treating like the wound lower strings as my kick drum.
Okay.
And then like when I hit the downbeat or the scratching stuff on the higher strings, that's my snare drum and my hi-hat.
So give them the most basic form of the actual rhythm without any embellishments. So if they're new to this Hendrix rhythm, like the starting point is what?
Well, if we're playing... If we just concentrate on the right hand, you can hear that drum pattern. Put in a chord. And that's like the most I can break it down, I guess,
Sure.
rhythm-wise. So that's always going to be underneath, and then all the embellishments.
What's level 1 for embellishment?
Well, my go-to, I feel like...
What is that?
So that occurs on what would be like a snare drum beat. So if I did it without the embellishment, it'd be like... But if I did the embellishment... And I've got like an A minor triad. And this, you really kind of have to use your thumb. The big Hendrix trick of playing these chords with your thumb really helps. It's almost a must. Really.
Side of your thumb. Don't try to go flat. Don't try to go here.
Yeah,
here
it's like right
is
there.
where the string goes across.
But that's really the only way to cop this, because you can't really do it with a... I mean, you kind of can, but
it makes
it's
it a
not
lot
the
harder.
same. Yeah. So I'm hitting this kind of A minor triad chord. And on the third string, I'm hammering on and pulling off from 5 to 7. So I'm using my pinky.
Are you double stopping the G and the B, or just the one string? Or are you double stopping the G and the D?
G or the D strings?
Yeah, like are you doing them together?
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. I am just doing the lick on the third string.
Okay.
So everything else,
No other strings.
no other strings. You can. I mean, that'll come later.
Okay.
But for now, like the simple,
Simple vibe, one string.
and that's like a Red Hot Chili Peppers thing
sure.
all over the place too, right?
Okay.
So even using that as a simple motif to do on all the chords, you know, you could do that on.
Yeah.
So. Leave it off there for the F chord, but. So I'm just doing that hammer-on pull-off lick on the 3rd string of whatever chord I'm on.
Got it.
So this is a D minor 7 chord, and I'm going from the flat 7 to the root, which is the same note as the A. That's kind of like the first step in getting into like a Hendrixy cupping hit.
What's step 2?
You can do that on different strings. And kind of arpeggiate downwards. Nice. That's a little crazy. I probably personally wouldn't comp that way. Like normally I would mix it up, but
Okay.
it gets harder. It gets harder.
Totally.
It depends how strong your pinky is, and today my pinky's not very strong. But like that simple flourish lick or whatever you want to call it, and just trying it on different strings
Okay.
that you can grab. So just going to the A minor, we talk about in the course how you can use the first position pentatonic as kind of your guide over an A minor thing. So if you know that A minor pentatonic looks like this, and you're hitting an A minor chord, some of the target notes you can do this kind of flourish lick are, we talked about the 3rd string, the 2nd string, or if you want to get jazzy,
Nice.
on 7th fret. Same thing on the high E string. That's kind of cool. And really, it gets harder the higher the string is that you're doing it on. But, you know, I'm just kind of targeting.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So that can be your guide, just using the pentatonic.
If you step up rhythm-wise and made the embellishments a little bit outside of that kind of rhythm cadence, what's some other?
Well, I mean, we can go really crazy.
Okay, let's see it.
So this whole time I've been playing the rhythm, I always hit the root and then chuck it on the higher strings to mimic the drum pattern.
Okay.
But we can totally throw the drum pattern out the window and just start like.
Wow. Okay, break all that stuff down.
And play around with the neck. So like on this A minor, I'm starting just on like this, you know, this kind of very Hendrixy.
That vibe?
Yeah. Because if the bass player is playing the root note, then I don't have to play, you know, the low A.
Okay.
I mean, that's very like
101 right there, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, like there's so many great
Those are almost the
Hendrix
fills.
Wind Cries Mary.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
name it. So that's another thing that Hendrix does is like the
sliding into the 3rd or whatever.
kind of like that rockabilly thing, but
If you want to know the secret behind that one, so it's to take the G chord. If you envision the 3rd position of the pentatonic scale, that's where all those notes come from.
yeah, it's just kind of like a stock Hendrix lick, right? So you can go all over the neck, but I do it over this G chord. And then over D minor, I think in the chorus actually,
Yeah, you did.
I did something like this, which was really, I would say Hendrix wouldn't do, but maybe John Frusciante would do this.
Sure.
So over D minor 7, I'm not hitting the root note, I'm actually hitting the minor 3rd on the bottom. And it's kind of like this triad, F, A, D, like first inversion, right? And then I'm kind of doing what I did in the first example with the embellishment on the 3rd string.
Okay.
And that's how you could do, you know, make it a little bit interesting by not hitting the root note. I mean, technically you could do
Good luck with that.
That's like, this is jazz player territory, you know? You can just hit the this fragment of the first inversion minor. And then it's very closely related to F major.
Okay.
You know, it's almost the same thing. So the D minor, whatever you do on the D minor and the F can be the same because, you know, the relative major and minor.
Okay.
So you can just play around with, you know, D minor licks or F major licks over those two chords.
Nice. Okay, so in the original tune, it modulates to a major?
Yeah, so
Ish.
it's kind of like a really cool pop writing element that he puts in this song. Is the verses are, for the most part, an A minor tonality, although he does in the original start hinting at like a major thing before he goes to the chorus.
Okay.
So like, you know, the verses start on the original. And then right before he changes to the chorus, he goes,
Throwing those notes in there.
yeah, root, major third. So he like hints at the major because in the chorus, and the original and what we talk about in the chorus is pretty much the same. It's an A major, you know, so you're coming from this really dark sounding verse, and then the chorus is like, you know,
exactly.
happy sounding.
We're happy again.
So the chords are like A major to C sharp minor 7 to G.
Okay.
And he does this, on the original, he does this octave lick going down. On the chorus, we do a variation where we start on the same note, but I'm going ascending.
How do you, so it's an octave run, but how do you know the notes that you can use?
So the notes that I'm playing, G, A, B, is really just a fragment of, in this case, G mixolydian.
Okay.
Because since we're in the key of, let's say, A major, technically, okay, so it'd be A in the chorus. Since we go from A down to G, technically it would be A mixolydian,
Okay.
right?
Uh-huh.
If you want to get really into it, it's G Lydian.
Oh.
I mean, these three.
God mode.
Yeah. That's just like, you know, whole step apart.
Okay.
All those notes. So that could be G major, that could be G mixolydian, it could be G Lydian, we don't really know. So
Okay, so if they didn't know anything about theory, what notes can they use?
you can use basically anything from A mixolydian.
Okay.
In this part.
So show them what those notes are.
A mixolydian goes like this. So the difference between major scale, Ionian mode, and mixolydian is just one note, and it's the difference between a major 7 in a major scale or a flat 7 in mixolydian. So major scale,
Oh, got it.
mixolydian, just the half step difference. So you know, just playing around with whatever notes you have available in the A mixolydian.
Okay. So
a fill.
yeah, and keep in mind if you're going to do the fills on the top strings, it's a whole step apart, one string apart,
Yeah, the octaves.
and then the octave down below would be a step and a half. Right?
And the trick with octaves, to me, you know, I'm strumming all the strings. I think Jimmy would strum all the strings. He wouldn't, you know,
Yeah.
some people will cheat and do like, you know, a hybrid picking
Sure.
to get it clean. But like the trick really is using your picking hand fingers that aren't being fretted to mute all the unused strings. And that's just kind of something that we've both probably learned as just playing a lot.
Sure.
If we break it down, I'm using my middle finger to really mute the lower wound strings.
Oh, and then are you draping your first finger or your pinky across the lower ones? Or the higher
Interestingly, I think the third string is being muted with this finger, and then This is being muted with
okay.
my pinky. And it's something that I've never really consciously
you just do it
knew about.
instinctively.
It came naturally after, playing a lot.
Well, and we grew up in the 80s and 90s when you had to play. Octave licks were in everything.
Oh yeah, Smashing Pumpkins.
Jane's Addiction, all of it. Okay, so are you changing how you do the embellishments and the majory sounding part, or is it just kind of the same gig?
It's actually, I'm simplifying it a little bit. There's definitely parts in the progression where you can do flourishing, particularly at the end. So what I'm playing, I'll play the whole thing.
Oh, that's cool. What's that one?
So this is over like a B, let's call it a B minor 7 tonality, which is the 2 chord of A major.
Okay.
Which I think actually he does in the original.
Yeah, he does.
But he does it over an E, like an E7 type of thing. But I do it over B, which is harder.
Sounds great over E too.
Because that's the original.
Super R&B.
Right? It's very, Isley Brothers, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just barring over the 7th fret, and I'm concentrating really on the first 4 strings. And going back to the same thing where if you think about the pentatonic scale in your head, these flourish notes are the ones that you're kind of targeting. Although this note, the C sharp, is the second of B minor. So that's the jazzy note of B minor, right? I could do.
Sure.
That doesn't sound as cool,
Yeah.
That's too weird.
Okay. How do you know when you're going to do downstrokes versus...
It depends on the tempo, I would say.
Okay.
And it depends if...
Like, play that section. Let me see. Yeah, so it's just, down.
I definitely, downstrokes in a row have a feel and a sound to them, particularly. So at a slower tempo...
Yeah, I'd be all downstrokes.
Yeah, because it's a little bit cleaner that
But
way.
in this one, it's more up and down.
Yeah, because at this tempo, you just kind of have this steady rhythm hand going. There's so many things you can do with a Hendrix style rhythm, especially in this song. Like, this is kind of a go-to for Hendrix rhythm comping. It's just these, right? But don't forget, he also used open chords a lot.
Okay.
So like, I mean, it's kind of the same idea, but it sounds
Totally
way different when
yeah.
it's open strings, right?
Sure.
So if you want it more percussive, then I would do it up here. But if you want more kind of like a folky, there's like a different mood when you use open strings.
The folky versions, the strings get to ring open more.
Yeah.
So that the 2 strings ringing together creates really cool sounds, where I think it's more direct and kind of percussive the other way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so RJ goes over all sorts of stuff like this in the chorus. The chorus is awesome. And then the whole first part of the chorus too is more of the how to get the technique and the whole... We explore a lot of the modal side of the playing. This whole course is based on the later part of Hendrix's stuff, where it's, the more jamming kind of stuff, more crash landing kind of stuff, more rainbow bridge, all that kind of stuff. He has an amazing course also that goes over kind of the first side of Hendrix plus the Band of Gypsies. That's amazing too. But this one we wanted to kind of touch on stuff that started to implement more of that modal and the jazz side of his playing. So highly, highly recommend you check it out. The band is freaking killer. Tracks are amazing. Parts are killer. If you're a Hendrix fan, it's a must because there's so many just iconic approaches that RJ just nails in the chorus to really get that feel. I mean, it's one thing to know the chords and a couple of embellishment licks, but the feel is what he really, really hits home with this chorus. So make sure you check that out. It's going to be 50% off for the opening week in the links below. Also check out RJ's channel, amazing channel. Hold on to your wallet. He makes everything he plays sound really good. But if you ever are curious about, does this pedal sound good? Make sure you check his channel. Fantastic gear demo channel. So thanks for the continued support. We'll catch you next time.